Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Meet the Candidate series. I am Jimmy. Our next guest, Mr. Paul F. Toner, is running for Cambridge City Council. Mr. Toner is a former teacher, attorney, union president, nonprofit leader, and a longtime resident of Cambridge with deep roots in the community. He lives in the North Cambridge home of his great-grandfather with his wife, Susan Paul Conley, and their children, Grace and Jack. Paul, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jimmy. Thank you very much for having me and doing this.
My pleasure, and thank you so much for joining us tonight, and thank you also for running for Cambridge City Council. Paul, the big question is, I ask everybody, why are you running for Cambridge City Council?
Sure. Well, my life has been dedicated to public service and giving back to the community. I grew up, as I said, you said, in North Cambridge, and Cambridge is all about community and helping your fellow neighbors. And I had a lot of role models like that growing up. A lot of my neighbors were teachers, firefighters, police officers, and working class folks that, just try to, do what was best for their families and for the people in their community. And that was just the ethic. And I've always had a passion for history and politics. I've been involved in local campaigns and state campaigns since I was 12. My first campaign was holding a sign for Mike Dukakis when my uncle, who was a truck driver, stuck a sign in my hand and said, "Go hold the sign for Governor Dukakis." And
Did he get you a job?
He didn't give me a job then, no, but taught me about the Teamsters, taught me about unions and about politics. And I've been hooked ever since, having worked on many local school committee, city council races, state rep races. And I've been very happy with the folks that I supported in the past. Many of them have retired and moved on, and there have been openings on the council. And I felt that it was an opportunity to step up and give back to my community in an elected position. And I'm really excited about the campaign. I'm very hopeful to be successful and looking forward to the work ahead.
Great. Well, let me ask you this. What are your top three burning issues? Everybody runs they have one or two things, but just in general, what are the top three things driving the passion with Paul Toner?
Yeah, so they're not necessarily sexy issues. However, my top one, and a lot of people, don't see this as a burning issue, but I do, and that's bringing civil discourse back to our local politics. Jimmy, running at the state level, that our politics have really gotten to the point where people just don't have collaborative conversations anymore to try to solve problems. So that's number one, is trying to make sure that as a council, we'll all work together and, really listen to the residents of Cambridge and be solutions oriented and trying to find common sense solutions to the needs of our residents. The second thing is, and this is, again, kind of a boring mechanical issue, but many people don't realize it, but our long-term city manager is retiring, Louis DePasquale, and the next city council is going to have to hire a new city manager, which is a very, very important job and role here in the city. And I want to make sure that we hire the right person who's going to keep, the economy going strong in Cambridge, that's going to provide excellent public services for the people of Cambridge, but also maybe bring some more vision to the housing issues, the transportation issues, the climate issues that we're facing as a city. So that's my second big priority. And then the third priority is working on affordable housing issues. Jimmy, very few of us that grew up here in Cambridge can still live in Cambridge or have been able to live in Cambridge. We probably won't be able to get all of our friends and family back to Cambridge, but I'd like it to create a situation where more people who grew up here in Cambridge or have come to Cambridge that want to stay in Cambridge can afford to stay in Cambridge. So working with ABC and other organizations that want to develop more affordable housing. Also, one last issue is just around the traffic mitigation and climate issues. I think that the best way we can address those issues is by actually creating more housing closer to downtown Boston and Cambridge, so fewer people are driving and are using public transportation. So those are my three big issues. There are other issues I care about as well, but those are if I can only have three, those are my three.
Right. Well, those are, I think you're right in the ballpark with everybody else in terms of the big one, of course, being housing and transportation. But you raise an interesting point about the tone. One of the you talked about transportation, one of the more contentious issues on the surface anyway, everybody can see, is the relationship between, the the restaurants, the parking, and the bike lanes and the traffic.
Yeah,
And it would seem to me that we would need a voice of reason in the city council to be able to bring all sides together and find the proper balance. Is that something you think you'd be looking forward to doing? Or
absolutely.
trying
I
to
mean,
do?
yeah, I mean, balance is one of the themes of my campaign. Is I just think we need to bring more balance to the discussion. And look, I know that everybody has the best of intentions on these issues. I think people are talking past one another.
Mm.
I'm down here in North Cambridge where they're about to put in bike lanes and eliminate parking on both sides of Mass Ave before Thanksgiving. Most people in the neighborhood knew nothing about it, and the small businesses definitely didn't know anything about it. So there's an awful lot of people who are quite upset about this. And, I think if we're actually given more time to work together as a community, we can actually come up with some solutions that will work for everybody, the bicyclists, the small businesses, and the residents of the neighborhood.
Mhm.
But this is where we need to use common sense and actually give the flexibility and time to people to get some solutions on the table. And I think I have not heard one person in any of these conversations say that they're not for bike safety and bike lanes. But they also wanted just to take into account the other factors that are involved. Cambridge is a city people love to live in because we have great small businesses and restaurants and bars and stores to go to. And I'm just afraid we're putting them at risk. And I think we need to come up with some flexibility for those small businesses and for the residents. And I think we can actually do that if we put our minds to it.
Right. So is the feedback that you're getting regarding the bike lanes and the loss of parking, is that something people were not prepared for? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, and again, I know the city staff has a hard job to do, but the city council voted a year and a half ago with some certain timelines and benchmarks for installing bike lanes. The problem is the only people who really knew about that were the city council and some bike advocates, and nobody told the people in the neighborhoods. And I'm hearing about it from your neighborhood in mid-Cambridge. I'm hearing about it from folks on Mass Ave and Central Square, and I'm hearing about it from here in North Cambridge, where people are just very surprised. And I know some people don't believe me when I say that, but there's just been many people signing petitions and calling, just asking for more time and more communication about these decisions before they're implemented.
Right. Paul, you said you had some significant endorsements. Who are some of the people or the organizations that are endorsing you?
Yeah, so most recently, I was just endorsed by A Better Cambridge, which is working on issues around affordable housing and creating more opportunities for people to live in Cambridge. In addition, I've been endorsed by, I believe, at least 16 trade unions across the state. I'm very proud of that. I'm a former president of the Mass Teachers Association and vice president of the AFL-CIO, so I'm happy to have their endorsement. I was also endorsed by Mass Retirees because in my years as a union leader, I was very, focused on making sure that our retirees are taken care of in terms of their health care and their pensions.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm proud to have their endorsement as well. I've also been endorsed by City Councilor Tim Toomey, former Mayor and City Councilor David Marr, former candidate Sean Tierney, and current State Representative David Rogers, my state rep here in North Cambridge. And I'm proud to have all those endorsements.
Right. Well, that's quite a list. What do you, in terms of the housing, for example, I mean, I've heard from other candidates, some people talking about, we should raise taxes on the property taxes to help pay for more affordable housing. One thing that the pandemic has shown us is the commercial real estate. There's so many vacancies in the Harvard Square area and up and down Mass Ave, that money not coming into the city. What do you think in terms of, funding for the city to get us to the level that we've been used to being at?
Yeah, well, I mean, currently, I believe the city has something like $200 million in free cash reserves right now. I'm definitely open to talking about new ways to finance affordable housing in the city. I'm not quite sure that we want to use residential property taxes to fund, future housing, but definitely working with developers and others as they build new projects, using opportunities with them for more inclusionary housing. Linkage fees, other things that we could possibly do. I've even had people suggest the possibility of the city of Cambridge maybe taking out some bonds to support it. So it's an area I need to dig more into about how we would finance it. Sure, thank you. But the financing of it, but I do want to make sure we maintain a balance, because quite honestly, Cambridge's low residential tax fees actually allow an awful lot of older people who are on a fixed income to be able to stay in the city. And in many cases, people who've already paid off their mortgages, because they don't have a high tax bill, are able to pass it on and rent out their apartments at a pretty low rate. So I would want to do some more digging into how that would impact things.
Right. All righty, Paul. How about a closing statement, please? And please tell the people watching where they can learn more about your campaign, and tell them what you want to tell them.
Sure. Thanks, Jim. So number one, please give me your number one vote. In 2017, I only lost by 99 votes. I think some people thought I was a shoo-in because I had a lot of signs around the city, and I had a lot of buzz on my campaign, but I need every number one vote I can get. So please, if you want to see me on the city council, please give me your number one vote. If you'd like to get more involved with the campaign, my website is www.toner, T-O-N-E-R, for Cambridge.com, and you can find all the information you need to contact me or get involved with the campaign. We're doing mailings, phone calling, sign holdings for the last several weeks. If you are somebody who put in for mail voting at home, my understanding is you're probably getting your ballots in the next coming days. So please, if you're supporting Paul Toner, mail that ballot in and let us know somehow that you put it in. It all comes down to number one votes, and I hope that you'll consider me for your number one vote for city council. Thanks, Jim.
Great. Thanks, Paul. Good to see you, and congratulations on running, and best of luck, and see you on the campaign trail.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.